Good day, everyone. Today I'll be presenting about a very important topic that affects students, teachers, and communities, especially in areas where resources are limited. Our focus today is on the challenges and solutions in implementing school health programs in low income schools. We all know that a child's health has a direct impact on their ability to learn. When students are sick, malnourished, or mentally unwell, it becomes harder for them to attend school regularly, focus on class, or participate in physical activity. So that's why school health programs are so important because they aim to provide basic health services, nutrition, or physical activity and mental health support right where students spend most of their time in the school. However, for low income schools, making these programs happen is easier said than done. Siyempre, these schools often face major obstacles such as lack of funding, limited staff, weak infrastructure, and low community involvement. But despite these difficulties, there are also creative and inspiring solutions because being used in various parts of the world. So in this presentation, we'll explore the key challenges that low-income schools face in delivering health programs, and more importantly, we'll look at practical solutions that can turn these barriers into opportunities for positive change. Syempre. Let's start by understanding what school health programs are. These programs are comprehensive efforts to promote student and staff health within the school setting. So they include health education, access to medical care, mental health support, and nutritious meals and physical activity. So this aim is to support students' overall well-being so they can learn and succeed. Siyempre, kung may good health ang students, mayroon sila better attendance kag academic performance. So when kids are healthy, they can concentrate, participate, and excel. But not all schools have equal access to these programs. Low-income schools, like sa mga bukid-bukid, often have fewer resources and more health challenges among their students, which lead to disparities in health education outcomes. Recognizing these disparities is important because it helps us understand why some schools struggle more than others to implement these health programs. So, an effective school health program covers many areas. First, we have the health education. Health education teaches students about topics like nutrition, hygiene, and mental wellness, giving them tools to make healthy choices. Sunod, health services. This includes basic medical care, screenings kag first aid sa school. Next, ang nutrition services. So, nutrition services, provide ni sila sa mga healthy meals nga importante sa mga students para sa ila energy kag brain function. Next is mental health and counseling para sa emotional well-being, helping students deal with stress kag sa iban nga may mga trauma. Next is physical education. Physical education ensures students to stay active and build lifelong fitness habits. Next, health promotion naman, para sa mga school staff, syempre, support teachers and staff para maging healthy sila, which in turn creates a better learning environment. Kaya kung hindi healthy ang school staff magmasakit sila, sino ang maklase sa aton, di ba? So, a healthy school environment means clean facilities and safe spaces where students can thrive. Number 8, ang involving families and communities. So, families and communities strengthens these efforts by extending support beyond the school walls. So, tanan ini nga mga components or ang 8 health components work together to create a supportive health system within sa aton nga schools. So, the first challenge that is faced by a low-income school is lack of funding and resources. So, one major challenge is ang not having enough money or funding sa school. So, low-income schools often operate on tight budgets, syempre, which means they can't hire sa mga school nurses or health staff or biskan magbakal na lang sa mga necessary equipments and supplies. So, many low-income schools have poor infrastructure. Ang iba, mga overcrowded rooms na sila, sa iban they have 5 rooms lang. Ang 5 rooms na ginabulus-bulusan na nila. Wala sila enough water and inadequate sanitation, kaya syempre, low budget sila gani, which makes maintaining student health even harder. So, when schools can't afford nutritious meals or health supplies, students may come to class hungry or even sick, which hurts their ability to learn. Number 2 challenge there is shortage of qualified staff. So, another big hurdle man siya ang lack sang qualified health personnel sa isang eskwelahan. So, damo man nga low-income schools, nga wala sila nurses, counselors, or biskan health educators naman, kay they can't afford them. Sometimes teachers are asked to cover these roles without proper training or time, kung ano lang ang ilang nabalaan. So this leads to inconsistent or incompetent health services. So without dedicated staff, health programs may be irregular or not reach all students who need help. So, ang number 3 challenge is poor family and community engagement. So, engaging families and communities is crucial. Pero may mga barriers nisa sa mga low-income areas or low-income schools. Una is language differences kag cultural beliefs. So, language differences and cultural beliefs make it hard for families to connect with the school's health programs. Kaya many parents work long or irregular hours so they can always participate in meeting or activities. Sometimes past negative experiences create mistrust towards schools or health services. Also, some families might not fully understand how important these programs are, kaya wala sila the interest so they don't prioritize them. Kag wala sila ga-participate, syempre. So, ang 4th challenge is policy and administrative barriers. So, systemic issue, syempre, gakablock man ang progress ng schools. Government support para sa school health programs, syempre, inconsistent siya. With unclear or changing policies nga ma-confuse ang schools. So, getting funding approved can be slow, bureaucratic process, delaying program startup. Kag ang mga school administrators sometimes see health programs as less important na siya kaysa sa academic and may not integrate them into the school's priorities. Kaya syempre, less important na siya. So, this lack of institutional support makes it hard to sustain programs for the school. So, despite these challenges, there are promising solutions. Advocacy, syempre, number 1 key ginasa. Sa schools, kag communities need to push for more funding kag support, syempre, para na sila sang school health program. Partnership sa mga local clinics, NGOs or universities can bring in additional resources and expertise sa mga low-income schools. For example, mobile health units can bring services directly to schools nga kulang sa mga staff, kag telehealth can provide remote consultations para sa mga low-income areas. Training volunteers or student peer educators can help extend the reach of health education kag support sa mga low-income areas, syempre. And these strategies turn obstacles into opportunities to improve health outcomes. Siyempre, we've seen that low-income schools face many challenges: limited funding, staff shortages, poor family engagement, and policy barriers. However, addressing these issues is essential to ensure equity in education and health. No child should be left behind because of their school's resources. It takes teamwork from educators, health professionals, policymakers, families, and communities to create sustainable and effective school health programs. Let's commit to working together to build a healthier future for every student.